recognizing themselves as part of a collective whole represents transformative learning. What I also found is that students that made these kind of comments had cognition development in all 4 areas, in all 3 categories, in all 4 categories, in all 3 areas. So student C9 described a personal character transformation with the statement, I learned that we can learn and have fun at the same time.
I like that.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Student C6 experienced true character transformation represented in the statement, I learned that you can multiply almost any number, and even though it can be a lot, you can do it. Student C11 wrote, I liked making the connect the dots to help the 3rd graders. Character transformation. Student C18 demonstrated character transformation in the statement, I learned through experience. Now multiplication is easier for me, and doing it with the classmates is easier. So there's my presentation, and thank you. Are there any questions?
Can you teach me how to multiply?
Yeah.
Just kidding. I still don't know how. Kidding.
No.
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Wonderful.
This, I think that this transformative teaching, I think it needs to be at every school. I think it's a framework
I think it's amazing.
that is incredibly important in these days. I think that there's a lot of content focus in a lot of school systems, and that the more we increase that focus on content, the less room there is for things like character transformation. And that's, in the end, what education is all about. Information, it's just information. You know, intelligence is just information. It's what we do with the information that makes us who we are. And I think we have to start taking the opportunity in the classroom to guide students through using their intelligence. So.
Great statement.
That was amazing. Oh my God.
Very good job.
Write that down.
Yeah.
This is, and we talked about all this in the beginning of the year,
Unbelievable.
so I know Jill and Andrea, I'm gonna point you out. What, since we talked about it before, what do you think is one of the biggest things that has changed?
I guess for me, what's really amazing is when we talked, it was this abstract, theoretical conversation, and to see the actual lesson plans and have it really grounded in a concrete, okay, this is what I'm teaching, this is how I'm teaching it. It's really impressive.
Thank
I'm blown away.
Thank you.
And for me, you know, in the science end of things, it's really reassuring and exciting to see the quantitative aspect and to see that you really actually demonstrated quantitatively that this was working, in addition to qualitatively with the student statements.
Right.
Makes it really powerful.
Can I just say also, this exercise of coming up with the tips and tricks, as you call
Oh,
them,
yes.
that's like, I mean, you probably know better than I because you've studied this kind of cognitive psychology, but I mean, that's really sophisticated thinking. That's sort of abstract conceptual thinking. It's not memorizing 6 times 2 or 7
Right.
times 2. It's understanding this concept of doubling or
Right.
understanding, oh, the clock, it works on this concept of 5s. I was blown away by that in particular. I think that's just genius. So, bravo.
Oh, thank you. And actually, I got one of the ideas from Moss, my friend,
Oh
my good
God.
friend. He taught me this 9 trick that you use with your fingers to do anything times 9. You can use your fingers. So we taught the kids that. They loved it. And then we also did, me and Trav sitting around trying to figure out how to do 4s, how to help kids with 4s. We came up with a double tap. So, 4 times 6, you put up the 6 fingers and you double tap 2, 4 and count. And what really sparked this lesson was kind of saying to the kids, when you're in the grocery line and there's 2 people in front of you and you've got to figure out how many groceries you have and what it's going to cost and how much is in your bank account, can you afford it? How much time do you think you have to do that? And so the kids were like, 3 minutes, 6 minutes. And we're like, we don't know. It depends on how long the person in front of you takes. So in that time, you've got to have some sort of system that you can grab and use to do the skill to get you to the end point of knowing what you need to know. Then you can fulfill your real purpose in life. But the skill is just it's a byproduct.
Before you have to put the groceries back.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but you got to put some back.
Or the person behind you.
Yeah.
The real estate one I thought was particularly creative. So they're going through and they're picking a house and they're actually looking at the real numbers
Oh.
associated with that.
Yes.
Like-
With this one, what we did is I started off by, you know when you read the real estate book, it says like 4BR for bedroom.
Yeah.
And we know what that kind of, those abbreviations mean, but the kids didn't. So I put all that on the board and I just said, BR means bedroom. I said, what does it mean an amenity? What is an amenity? What's a master bedroom? So the kids, once the kids learned what they meant, they were like, I want a master bedroom. And we only look at houses with a master bedroom. Or, we talked about property value and we really brought it back to the economy. We talked about Clinton, which is where the school is located, and why the land there is going to be a little bit cheaper than it is in Belgrade. So we talked about tourism and a farming town. And so kids that were buying homes in Clinton, they didn't have as much money, but they didn't have to spend as much. And the kids in Belgrade, we kept joking, were like doctors and lawyers because, they were making like $100,000 a year and their homes were super expensive. But they had fun. And actually I had a bunch of kids that said, my mom and dad are looking for houses right now, and now I can help them, So, yeah, they were like, can we take them home? Like, yeah, I kept saying it over and over again, you can have these books,
Mom, I want the master bedroom.
Yeah, I want the right. Some parent is going to be very upset that I thought they could buy. But
How long of a period of time did you work with the same group of students, and how frequently did you see them?
the the cooperation unit that was the math unit that I just presented. That one was over a period of 3 weeks, and some of the lessons, like even though there was only 6 lessons, some of them, because of like the time crunch, we could only get through half the lesson one day, so I'd have to go back and finish it the next day. So that was a continuous 3 weeks. I also did 2 weeks at a special education school, Spur Wing. And then I did one project, which is just a case study with one of my tutoring students. So it kind of crosses all educational settings, from mainstream ed to special ed to one-on-one tutoring.
The lessons themselves are only like a half hour each day.
Yep, the lessons, and not even that, because there are times where I got to the class and because of what they were doing before, we only had 20 minutes. And I had planned a 45-minute lesson plan because I was supposed to have 45 minutes, And that's kind of the way it is, and that's what the teacher kept telling me, don't worry, this is the way it is. But the time crunch was a lot, and it made it so that we had to cut down on some of the discussion, or I had to rush through the baking a little bit, and but even with that, the kids still got a lot.
The pre-test to the post-test multiplication, there was only 3 lessons, 3 30-minute lessons in between.
Wow.
The pre-test and the after-test, so after
Imagine a
3
whole year.
lessons,
Yeah,
after 3 lessons, half hour a day, the kids jumped
Wow.
right,
40 some odd points.
right.
Was there anything that surprised you?
I think I was most surprised at how, I sort of, when I developed all this, I sort of developed it, like we said, in an abstract way. It's just an idea, let's see how it works. And so I was really pushing these kids. They're in the 4th grade. And I think the reality is that the cognitions that they developed were a lot greater than their writing skills. Because I think these kids were having, when I read their comments, you could tell that they were really painstakingly trying to find the right words to describe what they experienced and how it changed them. And they ended up with these really powerful statements, but with misspelled words and,
Yeah.
So I think I was most surprised at how powerful this unit really was, and what the student response was, and also just the results. The numbers speak for themselves. Growth like that, we need charter schools to get on this quick.
How is it that you were able to get into the classroom and work with this teacher? Did you have to go through formal?
I had to go through, there's a New England college process where we do all kinds of forms. I had to meet with the superintendent and the principal, but because I've worked in the district for a couple of years, everyone kind of knows me, the superintendent knows me, I kind of was able to pop into people's offices and get all my signatures, and even then that still took me a couple weeks to get all this, and I had to get confidentiality statements from parents, from students, from everybody involved, and Terry Hiltz was the only one that said, please use my name. She was very, very proud to be part of it, and she's a teacher that I used to work with. So she was
Clinton.
at Clinton. She's amazing, and I told her that I wanted her name in it because I wanted her to get the credit for, you know, how much she influenced me as a teacher, as a colleague.
That's awesome.
But it was sort of a very formal process. But at the same time, like I said, I called, for instance, the principal of Clinton Elementary, who knows me very well, and I kind of called him up and told him about the workshop, and he goes, yeah, Kat, come on down anytime you want. Just, yeah, I'll sign your paper. You know, he's like, I don't have any worries. I'm sure you'll do great, you know. He wasn't really too worried. Terry, her and I met 3 times before we started the workshop, once for lunch and then twice sort of at the end of her day at the school, and that's where I got the curriculum, and we sort of just, it all came together, collaborative effort. So.
Proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Good job.
That's the end of my
Very good
presentation.
job.
Very,
Thank
very
you.
nice.